So Necrit is proposing a video how powerful are champions according to lore. Now in the lore, bro, my money is the fact that Aurelion Sol is number 1, Aatrox has to be somewhere 2nd place. Perhaps also we have to consider the fact that there's a Kindred, which is literally the manifestation of death. So probably we'll see if we are right. I'll be surprised if we'll see something like that, you know? If we see something random in there. Global is good, yeah.
On this channel we have talked about a lot of different topics and we have made a lot of different top 10 lists. We have ranked champions based on their lore, even though that video is outdated now. We have talked about the most powerful champions according to the lore, and then
to lore? We didn't see this video, chat. We'll need to watch this video.
And we did it again after Riot retconned their old universe, and we even talked about the weakest champions according to the lore. But we have never ranked every single champion based on their power in the lore compared to each other. So, that's what we are fixing today.
Good.
Today we will rank every single champion based on their power in the lore, but there is a slight catch.
Every single champion, consider the fact this video was released 2 years ago. Back in the day, 2 years ago, we had like, what, 140 champs? No fucking shock he's going to do 140 champs.
We will be ranking what their power can be measured as.
Maybe.
Or if you want to make that comparison, we will be judging their power level. But power level doesn't come only from combat. Lilia is a good example. If Lilia fought Sett, Sett would probably snap her neck. But
I would pay to see that. Just saying, you know, it is what it is.
That doesn't mean that Lilia is weaker than Sett. She is still a spirit born from the dreams in Ionia. Her power level is much higher than the other Vastaya. So when we talk about this list, remember that we are boiling the champions down to a single number. We will be calling that the power level.
Nice. Swear to God, Aatrox is going to be over 9,000. If Aatrox is not over 9,000, we will riot, boys, yeah?
However, if one champion is above the other, that doesn't necessarily mean that the higher one would be able to take down the lower one in combat.
That's technically how the power level works. Brother, what do you mean?
Power doesn't always come from fighting. With that said, we will not be taking into account political power. Swain is one of the leaders of an entire empire. That should give him a massive political influence. But that kind of influence on other people is not necessarily his own power. It's just that the other people trust him. Or
also, he has a demon. Straight up, that's a demon. So yeah, maybe ignore the political power and address the fact that my guy has a demon here.
Are forced into trusting him. So we are focusing purely on the individuals. Lastly, I understand that a lot of people will have their bias. We all main some champions. But even if you main a champion, just understand that maybe your main is not that powerful in the lore. Just deal with it. And to make sure I didn't have any bias and this list is as fair as possible, we spent 4 hours on stream moving around the different champions to strike the perfect balance.
Motherfucker actually did 140 champs. But I'm looking at the thumbnail here. I'd say there's no shot it's 140 champs in here. No fucking shot.
There still are some champions that are debatable, but we will talk about these as we get to them.
Okay.
So now, without further ado, since we have more than 150 different champions to talk about, let me try to briefly justify the placement of all of them. Looking at this list, understand that the ladders don't matter. It doesn't matter if a champion is S rank or A rank.
What do you mean it doesn't matter? This is exactly the tier list what it's supposed to mean. S means amazing, F means dog shit.
What matters is the placement compared to each other. That's why instead of using this kind of list, we will be using this kind of list. This has all the champions on one list compared to each other. And
so, what?
Even though this looks very complicated, it is very easy to understand.
There is a quote, if everyone is smart, no one is fucking smart. If everyone is stupid, no one is fucking stupid. If everyone is on the lore power, no one is on the lore power, you know?
The most powerful champions are at the top, the weakest at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
And in each row, the most powerful is on the left and the weakest is on the right.
Hold up, what?
However, and in each row, the most powerful is on the left and the weakest is on the right.
Okay.
However, we still have 5 champions at the very bottom, which don't have any lore.
Sachiko made noises.
Or even if they do, the lore tells us nothing about their power. This is mainly the Voidborn, Corki, who was only ever mentioned in a cinematic, Shaco, who really just doesn't exist, and Amumu, who is just a legend. We have no idea what's happening with him. So now, finally, let's get onto the list. From the video where we have ranked the weakest champions according to the lore. You may remember that the old crowned king of the weakest champions was Draven. Draven is an entertainer who is a good fighter but who lacks some real training.
Yikes.
That's why he used to be the worst. But ever since then, things changed slightly.
Yeah, now I might be thinking, we saw the thumbnail, in the thumbnail we saw Jinx. So my idea was that Jinx is the weakest, because it was spoiler alert. But now I'm thinking, bro, Jinx is high on fucking Shimmer. She will beat the shit out of Draven in the 1v1, easy.
First of all, the new crowned king of the weakest champions in League is Seraphine. She is literally a person who can hear your thoughts. The end. I wonder how that's gonna protect her from the blade of an axe. But
she will probably, realistically, yeah, considering the fact that we are a League of Legends players, let's just say we're not fans of Seraphine. So if you meet Seraphine in real life, and she can read your thoughts, let's just say she will not be happy with those thoughts.
Above her, instead of Draven, we have Jinx. And there's only one reason why that is the case. You see, Jinx is just a crazy person with a gun. Jinx is the Florida Man of Runeterra. She is certainly dangerous, but compared to all the other magical creatures on this list, she's really not that strong.
This video was released before Arcane, so Necri doesn't know that Jinx is high on fucking Shimmer.
And the only reason why Draven would be able to beat her is because very recently Riot tried to give us some context as to how Draven works. His problem used to be that when he throws away his axe, he can't get it back again. But Riot tried to argue that he has more axes hanging on his belt. Now, I don't know how massive his belt is, or how many axes he can actually have on his belt, but you know what, that's a good reason why Draven could be at least equal to Jinx. So it really doesn't matter which one you think is weaker, these two are just the worst. Not as bad as her though. Above them we have Annie. This may surprise a lot of you, but remember that Annie has no real idea how to use her power. The only thing that ever happens to her is that when she gets scared, Tibbers comes to life to save her. And that's all that ever happens. Unlike what she does in the game, in the lore she doesn't really know how to cast spells. It just randomly happens. Then there is Twitch. Twitch's advantage is that he's a mutant. He can get wounded and then be fine the next day. And he has a really deadly crossbow, but that's kinda where it ends. The one who would be able to beat him is Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank is really strong when it comes to his physical form, but he does have his limitations. He's a machine, so if people know how he works, they can easily abuse him.
Yeah, just spill water on him and that's it, he's dead.
And also, his moral code tells him that he shouldn't be harming people. Above him, believe it or not, there is Cassiopeia. And that's for one simple reason. Cassiopeia never does what she's actually doing in the game. In the lore, all she ever did is strangle people with her snake tail. However, we should mention the fact that she did petrify someone once. There was a story where she was stressed and she screamed so hard she turned someone into stone. So she does have some abilities, but first of all, it is her curse, she doesn't know how to control it. And we simply don't have that much info on what her abilities are about.
So basically her ult is in cooldown, gotcha.
She simply needs more lore. But at the very least, she really doesn't have the ability to summon snakes. Spitting poison is the only ability which I would understand. Then there is Echo. Echo is kinda shady because yes, the ability to manipulate time may sound really powerful, but it has a catch. Yes, with his device he can slow time for a brief moment, and then for quite a while he can't use it again. But that is the stronger ability. His rewinding time is even worse. He can only rewind like 6 seconds back, and he can only do it if he is alive. So one bullet in the head and Echo is done. Not to mention the fact that even if he rewinds, he will still feel the pain from his wounds. This was especially shown in his cinematic. So his abilities are really not that powerful. Then there is Mundo.
Hold up, before we go to Mundo, yeah, I just want to address the fact that Echo is higher than Twitch. Brother, in the 1v1 my money on Twitch. Motherfucker has a crossbow. Necro himself says that one bullet is all it takes and Echo is dead. What about a bolt, eh? What about a bolt? Sure, you can control the time, 6 seconds, yeah, you can slow the time, you can beat Twitch, yeah. But next day, he's all alive and Echo is tired. You know? Nah. Echo versus Twitch, my money on Twitch.
Echo speaks for himself. He is physically strong, but he's dumb as bricks. Then there is Ezreal. And right after Ezreal, there will be a lot of champions who have very similar power level. Ezreal's only issue is that he doesn't really know how to control his glove perfectly. He himself doesn't really have any kind of professional training, and oftentimes he has no idea what he's doing. He's kinda squeezing the glove and hoping that something good happens. So while the Glove of Nazuk, the artifact which he has, is really powerful, Ezreal doesn't know how to fully unlock its potential. On a similar level, then there is Graves. Graves' power really comes from two things. Living in the underground, he has lived through a lot of shootouts. He knows how to fight people. But also, his shotgun is just really powerful. And since it is partially enhanced with magic and hextech, it is just really strong. Very slightly above him there is Misfortune. Yes,
So basically take away Graves' gun and he's nothing. Well, still, we'll beat the shit out of you in a 1v1, win a fist fight, but without his gun, rather remove his gun and I'd say Ezreal can take him on. Mundo for sure. Echo, bro, I'm not 100% sure about Echo. Like, the rest of them can beat Graves.
yes, she is just a human. But on top of Graves, her combat mastery is a bit higher. She's far more agile, she has charm on her side, and similar to Graves, her guns were crafted by the best smiths in Bilgewater, her parents. On a similar level above her, we have Alistar. While Alistar is really strong because he is a Minotaur, that's kinda where his powers end. He would be able to take a lot of hits and he would last for very long, but anyone with at least a little bit of training would be able to outmaneuver him. Or if they are clever, they can outlast him. Really, compared to the other Minotaurs which we know about from Legends of Runeterra, Alistar should be one of the weaker ones. Then
That's a
there is
shame.
Jace. Above everyone else, he actually has a really powerful hextech machinery on his side, that being his hammer. But the real benefit he has comes from his intellect. He is very smart. But his smartness probably won't outmaneuver Vi. While Jace crafted the hammer himself, Vi's Atlas gauntlets were enhanced by the professionals in the Piltover military. So in the present days, Vi would be above Jace. And of course, above her, we would have Caitlyn.
Oh, no fucking shot. Keep in mind, yeah, it was 2 years ago, the Arcane wasn't released, so give him the benefit of the doubt.
Who not only has a really deadly hextech sniper rifle, but she also has professional officer training on her side. Though even that kind of training would not outlast Gangplank, whose power really comes from his stubbornness and refusal to die. He lost his arm and he came back. He was tested by Illaoi with the power of Nagake Boros, and he passed the test of his will. He was deemed worthy of living by the gods themselves. That alone makes Gangplank more powerful than anyone else so far.
And we had the in-game event specifically around Gangplank dying and then resurrecting. Entire map of ARAM was turned into Bilgewater, I feel like 2 weeks, maybe a month. And the announcer was Gangplank himself. Holy shit, that was fucking amazing.
And this is where the power level jumps up a bit. So now we get to people who are either military veterans, or they have some kind of a special or magical training. First there is Irelia. Irelia comes from a family of weavers. They were weaver dancing. And it so happens that her weaver dances are able to manipulate blades that come from her family crest. She was quite strong even when she was young. That's when she cut off Swain's hand. But she is still somewhat inexperienced compared to the others. What she's really lacking is some professional training. Irelia is purely self-taught. She knew how to dance, then she realized she can manipulate blades, and she herself started training with the blades. So, someone like Riven would be above her. Because not only is Riven's blade far more powerful than what Irelia has, remember that her weapon was crafted by the Black Rose, but also Riven was trained in the Noxian military. She got a proper soldier's training, so those combined would rank her higher. And she would be roughly on the same level as someone like Akali. Akali is partially spiritually attuned to Ionia, even though her bond is not really that strong. But she also has her Kinku training, with the Kinku being one of the most powerful orders in Ionia. And then we have two Yordles who are highly debatable. There is Gnar and Fizz. The issue with
My money on Gnar. Straight up, my money on Gnar everywhere in here. But the fact that Fizz can 1v1 Irelia, no shot.
those two is that they are primitive.
No shot.
Gnar is the oldest Yordle on Runeterra, and Fizz is very close to him. And while Gnar's Mega Form would be able to defeat anyone else so far, he is not smart, and so the rest would be able to outmaneuver him. And with Fizz, the issue is that Fizz just never fights. He jumps around and plays with people, but he never really does anything beyond that.
Exactly.
Yordles usually rank higher up because they are Yordles. Their normal power level is really high, but they are brought even higher because of their intellect. Yordles are smart, but not these two. That's why these two are debatable. So if you would personally rank them higher, I would understand. And then there is Gragas. While the Iceborn are really strong people, Gragas is lacking any kind of real weapon. Yes, he would be able to punch you to death, but that's kinda where he ends. He is physically insanely strong, but nothing more than that. He would be on a similar level as someone like Quinn. Quinn's
So just give him a weapon, brother. That's it. Give my boy Gragas a weapon and we're good shit. What are you on about?
issue is that she is no assassin. She's not a killer. She's a scout. She is really good at sneaking around and scouting areas. But when she gets into a fight, she's not that good. As an example, in the Garen novel, Quinn almost died after fighting 2 people at once.
Aww.
Valor does a lot to help her. And we are counting that power. That's why she is a lot higher than someone like Caitlyn. But still, she is really not that strong. And above her, we would have the 2 Noxian assassins.
Now, hear me out, eh? Just hear me out. We're counting Quinn with Valor, so that's 1v2 in the scenario, yeah? Now take Caitlyn with her Hex Core Enchanted Sniper Rifle, bro. 2 shots, 1 shot for the bird, 1 shot for the Quinn. I'd say we're good, you know?
Of them, Talon is absolutely the stronger one. That's why he's above her. However, neither of those 2 assassins are perfect. The reason why Katarina has a scar on her face is because she failed as an assassin. That's why she was kicked out. And Talon managed to fail to kill Katarina when she was stationary. So neither of them are perfect killers. That's why, above them, we would have the Demacian crew. Fiora, Jarvan and Garen are all interchangeable. We know that Garen and Jarvan should be on the same kind of level, because from their childhood they have always been training together. The 2 are great friends. But the reason why I would put Garen slightly higher is because, unlike Jarvan, Garen is used in battles far more often. He should have more experience. And the very slight problem with Fiora is that Fiora is focusing on one-on-one battles. She is an amazing duelist, but her combat abilities are highly limited by that. And above these 3, we would...
Now hear me out, yeah? Demacia has no magic, they are not special. Sure, they are trained, they are fucking trained, but their weapons are melee weapons. Now we take someone like Graves, who also seen battles, and he has a fucking shotgun. Brother, I would bring a knife, I would bring a gun, I would bring a fucking shotgun as Graves into a knife fight in here. My money on Graves in here. Also, we have to consider the fact that Irelia and Ionia shenanigans, they have a bit of a spirit on their side. True, that's kind of weird that guns are lower. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Would have Darius. Darius should be just as strong as Garen. The 2 would likely be equal. And while Garen has the advantage of having Patricite, the Noxian soldiers have the Black Iron, which is mined from the Freljord. And that is the strongest kind of steel that we know about. Darius's armor is nearly unbreakable. If you also count the fact that he's a member of the Triferix, even if we don't count the political power, Darius would be slightly above Garen. So
but see, once again, we're talking about the armor, bro. There are open spots, he has no helmet. So someone like Twitch would take 1 crossbolt to the head, that's it, there he is dead.
Surprisingly, slightly above him, then we have the special people. Just like Twisted Fate, who seems to be a normal human, but he is actually a mage. And his magical abilities alone would be above the rest. Vayne is on a similar level, but she doesn't take advantage of magic. She ranks higher above the rest because of her arsenal alone. She is a really good killer, but she is also being carried by her weapons, which are armed with silver bolts. But
true that. In League of Legends, Vayne is literally a Batman.
better than silver bolts is Lucian, with his sentinel guns. The recent event showed us that the sentinel guns are really powerful, but they also enhance Lucian's abilities. They give him slight magical abilities, such as his dash. Above Lucian, we would have something like Zac, who is really just an experiment with quite some potential, but that's really where Zac ends. He is strong when it comes to slapping people, but he is just a blob after all. On a similar level, we would have Singed. He is a Piltovan professor by day and a Zoanite murderer by night.
Hold on. Bro, I have a feeling the screenshot is from Arcane. I think it is, yeah. My thoughts exactly, it was at the very end. It was at the very end of Arcane. Or no, is that Warwick? Yeah, it is Warwick. It is Warwick. Hold on, give me a second. Literally almost, bro. Straight up the same scene, different angle. We were close, yeah, actually we were close. Anyway.
He is a Piltover professor by day and a Zoanite murderer by night. He managed to figure out how to slightly prolong his own life, but he's currently trying to figure out how to really become immortal. His current experiments are some of the creepiest stories which we have in League.
True.
And it is all about Singed stitching people together in hopes of attaching a smart person onto a strong person, and therefore prolonging the smart person's life. There is the theory that Singed wants to do that to himself. I highly recommend reading his story. And above Singed, we would have the other crazy person, Jin. Jin's power comes from two different things: his masterful planning and the Tula armory. Many people may not know about it, but all the guns that Jin has were sponsored by a secret Ionian cabal. They are really powerful and magically enhanced, so his arsenal would rank him above the rest. Then we have something like Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix is a Voidborn who eats animals. He's not really that smart, but physically he gets stronger with every kill. However, he's not really the ever-consuming void creature. Surprisingly, Lux would be on a similar level. She is a really strong mage, and she has the potential to be really high up on the list. But her issue is that Lux doesn't really know how to control her light. That is the point of her story, especially in the comic. Above her, we have the other people who tap into magical abilities, such as Nidalee. She is really just a person who taps into the ability to morph into a cat. And then there is Kai'Sa, who really just taps into the ability to have a Voidborn attached to her. She is strong, but it's nothing mind-blowing. And then there is Rengar.
So remove Voidborn from Kai'Sa and that's it. She's nothing. Straight up classic.
Who over time is getting stronger and stronger on a way faster rate than someone like Kha'Zix. And don't worry, no, we are not counting the power that comes from the Sentinels of Light, just like for Vayne. This is just Rengar before the event. Then there is Elise, who just like Nidalee or
Now, hold on. Yeah, this is what makes me very upset. Bro, what the fuck? We had Darius, we had Rengar, we had Kha'Zix, we had the Psychopath, we had literally Batman, and then we have a Kata. Fucking nerf Kata, what the fuck is this?
Kai'Sa is a human that is tapping into another source of power, but it just so happens to be that the power of the Shadow Isles is way better, with it being connected to an immortal god called Vilemaw. Above her there is Kayn.
Immortal god named Vilemaw. Those of you who don't remember, Vilemaw was a spider in Twisted Tree line. Brother, that was a thing. In Summoner's Rift League of Legends 5, we were killing Baron. In 3, we were killing Vilemaw. Vilemaw. Images, yep. There we go, open image in a new tab. That was the part of the map, bro. This is the spider, bro. God, I miss 3v3. Riot, come on, bring back 3v3. That was amazing. 3v3 was fucking amazing. What are you on about? Why did we remove it?
Who is also tapping into another power. The issue with Kayn is that he is still a child, and his shadow training is nowhere near completion.
What do you mean he's a child? No, Annie is a child, Zoe is a child, Vex is a child, but Kayn, nah.
So he is neither a master of the shadow technique, nor is he the Darkin. That's why he is a lot weaker in the current state than what people realize. On a similar level, there would be Warwick, who is really strong and really ferocious, but his insane status kinda cripples him at the same time. The same goes for Urgot, but Urgot is actually smart. And that's not even talking about him being really resilient, or the fact that he can meat grind people. And slightly above him, there would be Sona.
How?
Who is a really powerful mage who can make you dance so hard your bones break.
Okay.
Don't underestimate Sona.
Okay.
And on a very similar level, there would be someone like Orianna. Orianna's power doesn't really come from combat. Yes, she can fight, but she's no fighter. Her power purely comes from the fact that she's the perfect combination of organic and synthetic. She is the top form human assimilated with Hextech. But she's not quite perfect. We'll get to that. And then...
So Orianna was human? Shit, I thought Victor was lonely when he was crafting the hex, and he crafted Orianna. Hey, the more you know. Anyway.
And there is Yuumi. While everyone may argue that Yuumi is just a cat,
yeah,
that's not really the case.
What do you mean that? We can ask AI, is that a cat? The AI will say that is a cat. Does it have 4 legs? Yes. Does it have a tail? Yes. Does it have cat ears? Yes. That makes it a cat.
Yumi is a spirit from Bandle City. She's exactly the same thing as something like Pix, which Lulu has. So it doesn't matter what she looks like.
They made Lulu's pet into a fucking champion.
She may look like a cat, but her power level would be something close to something like Vastaya, a magical creature. But she would still be slightly lesser than them. That's why above Yumi we have most of the Vastaya. There is Rakan, who is really the weakest of them. Then there is Set, who is a really strong fighter, and he is a Vastaya, but his human side is kinda holding him back. Above him there would be another really formidable fighter, Sivir. Sivir would be a lot lower on the list if she didn't hold the Chalikar. The Chalikar is the blade that was the key to sealing the Darkin inside their weapons. That artifact alone is insanely good.
Like, I swear to God, take literally 1/3 of this entire list, remove their weapons, and they are nothing.
But above her there is Samira. Samira is a professionally trained mercenary who is also an assassin. Now that alone would make her strong, but what puts her that high on the list is the fact that her arsenal comes from the Black Rose. You really can't find more advanced weapons in the entirety of Noxus.
Nice.
Then there is Talia, a really good stoneweaver who suffers from two things. She is really young and inexperienced, and she never got proper training for her abilities. She was trained by Yasuo when she was in Ionia.
So basically Avatar, the last airbender. Gotcha.
And that's really where it ended. So should she get some proper elemental training from Ishtal, Talia would be a lot higher, but currently she's not that strong. And finally, to top of this category, there is also Xayah, the last Ionian Vastaya who is by far the deadliest of them. But here we have a bit of a jump in the power level. Next up, there is Xin Zhao, whom many may know as Viscero. That was his gladiator name. Xin Zhao was originally an Ionian soldier. He was insanely powerful, but he was captured by the Noxians during the invasion. Because he was so strong, the Noxians thought it would be funny if they used him in the arena.
Fucking Noxus at it again. Yeah, just for the names, he could be your best soldier, bro. He could join your ranks. He could help you conquer the world, bro. Nah. Monkey funny, throw him into arena. Give him weapon. Fucking Noxus.
And so, that's where Xin fought. And no one ever defeated him. He was able to take on dozens of people at the same time. And so, being as strong as he is, the Noxians then used Xin Zhao as a living weapon. And together with some other gladiators, they sent Xin Zhao into Demacia to claim the lands for them.
Ah, there we go, see? Good job, Noxus, I swear to God. Yeah, they are learning, bro.
That's where the Noxians were defeated, and Jarvan III thought that Xin Zhao was not fighting for the right side. That's how Xin Zhao was converted. Anyway, the point is, Xin Zhao is insanely strong. But not quite as powerful as someone like Lee Sin. Lee Sin may be slightly lower than Xin Zhao when it comes to pure fighting. But Lee Sin has the edge because he can use the Dragon's Flame. The same goes for Yasuo. He's also a really good fighter, but he has the edge because he can use the Wind Technique. And somewhat of a similar thing goes for Victor. Victor himself is a really clever inventor, but his power level comes from the fact that he is really good at replacing his own body. He is simply more than a human, on a similar level to other people using some kind of a powerful technique. And what's better than a
Yeah, let's back to the idea of where I propose to remove 30% of the entire list, remove their armor and their weapons. If you remove everything from Victor, what's left in there? I don't think Victor exists anymore, no? Like, that's it, you take him apart.
really clever powerful inventor, a Yordle inventor, or 3 of them. Rumble is the lowest of them because Rumble is using literal garbage for his machinery. Heimerdinger is above him because he actually knows what the heck he's doing with his inventions. And Ziggs would be above him because Ziggs is not held back by moral code.
Exactly, I told you he was a terrorist, bro. That's why every single time I see Ziggs in the mid lane, I call him a terrorist because he's a terrorist. Look at that shit.
His wild side would give him the edge. Then we have the 2 guys who are tapping into the powers of the Void. They are not really as insanely powerful as people would think. They are really just people touched by the Void. But the Void is so powerful that Kassadin and Malzahar would be above the rest. And then there is Kled, a really old and really skilled soldier. who's kinda held back by his dementia. A very unfortunate fate for Kled. Though because of Skarl, it almost kinda equals out. Shyvana would be on a similar level. Being a half-dragon, it's almost natural to be a really powerful magical being. Almost as powerful as the last land-walking Vastaya, Wukong. The reason why Wukong is above all the other Vastaya so far is because Wukong was trained by Master Yi. Which means that Wukong has the basics of the Wuju technique. He can't use it, he didn't have visions of the past just like Master Yi did, but even with Master Yi's training on its own, Wukong is just way more powerful. And
he's a monkey.
Is even using the battle staff of Doran. Above him we would have Sion, a human being resurrected by pure dark magic. That's kinda where that ends. Above him, there would be Yorick, someone who is able to survive the Black Mist because he has a vial of the Blessed Waters on his neck, and someone who has the ability to speak to the dead and control the dead. Though that is not as powerful as someone like Illaoi, who is the chosen of the god of motion called Nagake Boros. Using the Eye of the God, which is the artifact she's holding, she's able to test mortal souls. That's what she did to Gangplank. And channeling the god's powers, Illaoi is just way above everyone else. Though the Iceborn would be above her, just like Ahri. Alright, I always say that someone is the last Vastaya, but no, Ahri is the last land-walking Vastaya on this list. While the Iceborn are really strong themselves, because they are just really resilient people inheriting the distant power of the Watchers.
Yeah, back to the idea of Gragas being a Vastaya, not Vastaya being a... Bro, how do you call this?
Because they are just really while the Iceborn are really strong themselves, because they are just really resilient people inheriting the distant power of the Watchers.
Not the Frostborn. How do you call them, bro? Still, the idea was that my boy Gragas, Iceborn, not Frostborn, Iceborn. Jesus Christ, I'm getting dyslexic. Anyway, my boy Gragas has no weapon. The only thing he has is a barrel with the vine with the beer, and he has the Iceborn crystal in there. My boy Braum, same story. His weapon is a fucking door. Give him a proper weapon.
Because they are just really resilient people inheriting the distant power of the Watchers.
Like Ash.
While being able to wield weapons of true ice, which can instantly kill anyone who is not an Iceborn. Ahri is on a similar level because she is empowered by the souls of her victims. So when it comes to Ahri, essentially the longer she lives, the more powerful she gets.
But that's the old lore of Ahri? Because I still believe that's the idea of Ahri, that she's not a Vastaya, she's an evil spirit that was a fox, that kills people, observes their magic, absorbs their power, and becomes more human. Then the other videos we saw that she's a Vastaya? Fuck knows, bro, this is complicated.
Then above the Iceborn, we have some of the undead. Kalista is there because unlike the other people from the Shadow Isles, Kalista is not utilizing the power of the Black Mist. That's why she is a lot lower. And Karthus is really just herding the souls. He doesn't really do anything about that. And so, above those, we have the other people related to the Black Mist. There is Akshan, who should be on the same level as someone like Lucian, who was way lower on the list. But the Absolver and the ability to resurrect people brings him a lot higher. Next to him, there is Senna, who is also just like Lucian, but she embraces the power of the Black Mist. And the same thing goes for Gwen. Except for Black Mist, Gwen is using the Hallowed Mist. And above them, we have the last Vastaya, who's not land-walking. Being one of the Marai, who are one of the most ancient Vastaya that we know about, inheriting the wisdom of her people, and having the connection of the aspect of the moon, that's why Nami would be above the other Vastaya. Then there is Olaf, who is really shady. Once again, not counting the lore from the Sentinels of Light, it is really difficult to rank Olaf, because theoretically Olaf is immortal. As long as he fights, he can't die. That is—
Wait, what do you mean he's fucking immortal? Straight up Giga Chad. But I thought that was Tryndamere thing, no? You are immortal as long as you fight. Hold up.
Is what his prophecy said. But you know, it would be insane to say that he would be actually immortal as long as he fought. All prophecies should be able to be broken. Otherwise, Olaf would have to be on the same level of something like Aurelian, a never-dying soul. But that would be quite insane. That's why Olaf is where he is. A really strong fighter with uncanny powers, just like Tryndamere.
Well, they are brothers, so wait, no shot, they are brothers. Like, for real, they are brothers? No fucking way. Hold on, I need to Google that. No fucking way they are brothers. Is Tryndamere and Olaf brothers? I see absolutely nothing mentioning that. Nope, nothing to say that they are brothers. Absolutely nothing. Skamaz, yeah, I got scammed.
Tryndamere is above everyone else because he is tapping into the power of the Darkin. That's where his encounter with Aatrox comes in. So basically, he is a Freljordian warrior tapping into some insane powers. The same goes for Yone, that's why Yone is above him. He's also just a really powerful swordsman who is tapping into the power of the Ionian demons called the Azakana. And that's why Varus is slightly above him. Varus is the combination of two veteran archers who were incredible hunters and one really powerful Darkin.
Yep.
But here, since the Darkin also has some control over the body, Varus is just way higher than Kayn. And he would be on the same level of someone like Yone. And then we have the Yordles. Unlike the other Yordles, including Kled, the reason why these are more powerful is because their connection to the spirit realm is a lot higher. Ziggs, Heimerdinger and Rumble are really just screwing around in the mortal realm.
I guess everyone is laughing at Yordles, yeah, but the idea is that Yordles are immortal. Canonically, Yordles are immortal. So, sure, they cannot die of old age, but you can kill them. Now I'm thinking of someone like Poppy, bro, or someone like Tristana. One good shot and they are dead.
Realms. While all of these Yordles are embracing the spiritual powers. Tristana would be the weakest of them, followed by Poppy, who has the edge because she has the Hammer of Orlon, a legendary artifact weapon. Above her, there would be Lulu, one of the most powerful sorcerer Yordles in Bandle City. Above her, there would be Kennen, whose
Pikachu.
link to the spirit realm is far higher than anyone else's, because he is one of the leaders of Kinku. And above him, there is Teemo. We don't know too much about Teemo, but we know that despite his looks, Teemo is one of the deadliest Yordles out there.
I'm telling you, Teemo is the fucking devil, what are you on about?
Is a master assassin at the same time. So whether Teemo or Kennen is stronger, that's really up to you. Above those, there would be Trundle. Trolls in general are incredibly strong. They are pretty much immune to the frost, but Trundle himself is also an Iceborn. He wields a true ice weapon. That on top of the fact that trolls have incredible regenerating powers, Trundle is just way higher than what people would expect. But he's not quite as powerful as something like Vastai Shirei, which is Neeko. Neeko is not a pure Vastai Shirei. If she was, she would be way higher on the list. But she is close enough to her pure ancestors that her power levels are just way too high.
No, I'm just trying to remember. Vastai Shirei is... one parent is Vastai, the other parent is human, if I'm not mistaken. Or Vastai Shirei were the original Vastaias. No, I'm confused, no? We need to find a tree. No, exactly, that's what they mean.
That's why, notice I didn't call her a Vastaya. And she would be on a similar level to something like Maokai. Maokai is a nature spirit.
Ancestors of Vastai. Oh, so the original Vastaya, gotcha, yeah.
But the issue with Maokai is that Maokai is barely surviving. He's doing all he can to push back the Black Mist, so he is not in the best shape. Above him there would be Nunu, but Nunu's powers don't really come from Nunu. It's all about Willem. From Nunu's story,
William.
we learned that the ancient Yetis were insanely powerful. They had incredible connections to magic, and their wisdom was inconceivable. So Willem alone is able to carry Nunu. Literally. After that we have Janna.
Bro, on my team when I have Nunu, that motherfucker is carrying the enemy team, alone, by doing a disco dance in the middle. But it is what it is.
Janna is also a primal spirit, but she's not in her best shape. Before Piltover and Zaun split, many people worshipped her, that's when she was at her best. But since then, only people in Zaun pray to Janna, and Janna gets her power from her followers. That's why she's not as high as she could be.
So basically, any social media star, take away the followers, and instead of OnlyFans, you go back to McDonald's, bro. Just saying.
Lilia is on the same level. She's also a spirit born from dreams in Ionia. Not the most powerful spirit, but powerful enough. And then we get to Rel. Rel is an incredible mage, who is thought to be able to fight someone like Mordekaiser.
Bro, I forgot this champion existed. Anyway.
With proper training. Currently, Rel is held back by two facts. She is a child and she has no real training.
Hold up, she's a child? No fucking shot, bro. She looks 30.
Once both of those factors get cancelled out, she'll be a lot higher. Above her there is Veigar. the last Yordle on this list who is the most powerful Yordle that we know about. And above him, there is a spirit that is not in a bad shape. Ivern is a spirit that was born from the Omikaelan, the world tree of Ionia. That alone makes Ivern really powerful. But he's still not the primal spirit of the entire continent. He is essentially just a spirit, in a slightly weaker form because Ivern the Cruel, the Freljordian warrior, cut down the original tree that was responsible for the power of the spirit. So even Ivern is not in his prime. And Ivern would have a similar power to Camille. Camille is an expert assassin, forged by Hextech to be perfect. She has enhanced vision, she really can't miss,
Straight up Mikasa from Attack on Titans. Fucking changed my mind.
and she got the best training Piltover could offer. She is really assassin brought to perfection. Galio would be on a similar level. He's a Petricite Titan, he's really big! But that's kinda where his power comes from. If he wasn't big, Galio would be actually way lower on the list. Because besides moving around, he doesn't do much, maybe besides absorbing magic. But even that can backfire. On a similar level, there would also be Skarner. If you really think about it, Skarner is just a dude, but he's a different species. So
I feel like Skarner is all of us, you know? When it comes down to League of Legends players, I feel like Skarner is all of us. Just a dude, but different.
it is really the fact that he has a Hextech battery on his tail that brings him this high. Then there is Udyr, a spirit walker channeling the power of the primal gods of Freljord. There is not much more I can say on this. He's a guy who is tapping into some real godly powers.
I do enjoy how we went from Sentinels, Batman, literally spirits of the dead, fucking Sushi, Teemo, the mighty assassin, into just a dude.
That's why Aphelios is right next to him. Aphelios is also a guy who is tapping into godly powers of the moon goddess. And that's why Pantheon is next to him. Pantheon used to be a god himself, but after the aspect of war died, now he is a dude that is tapping into the remnants of a godly power. And that's why Swain is next to him. Because Swain is tapping into the godly powers of a demon.
Yep.
And one of the more powerful demons at that, the demon of secrets, Raum. And following the patterns, then there is Pyke. Pyke is a guy who is tapping into the powers of Nagake Boros. While he should be on the same level of someone like Illaoi, Illaoi is only following the powers of Nagake Boros, and she is wielding them for the god's good. But Pyke is infused with those powers. He's almost being controlled by the god. That's
Just a dude solos an entire list through that. Straight up, like 3-4 in a row is just a dude that's tapping into some sort of a power. Okay, remember I said 30% remove armor and weapon. Increase this list to 45%, remove fucking tapping into power.
why he's a lot higher. And then we get the first Shreeman Ascended.
The
Nasus. Nasus is really powerful, but he's also quite depressed these days.
Same.
So he is not in his best form.
Same, Lamar.
And there is Nocturne. The reason why Nocturne, unlike the other demons, is this low is because Nocturne is banished. As far as we know, he should be still locked up somewhere around Demacia. His encounter with Lux didn't really go well. That's why, in his current form, Nocturne is slightly lower.
No shot, you want to tell me Lux solo Nocturne? Fuck you on about, bro, what is this?
Then there is someone like Hecarim, who is this high because he is fully embracing the power of the Black Mist. Hecarim can freely make up his own army as he wishes. We learned that from his very recent story in Demacia. He simply reaches into the Black Mist, pulls out a spirit, and he uses that spirit as his own soldier. That's why Hecarim can craft his own armies. Sylas would be on a similar level, though Sylas's power is highly situational. If Sylas is in the middle of nowhere, he can't do anything. He needs to be around something magical. But the reason why he is this high, unlike the other mages, despite having somewhat simple magical abilities, Sylas was able to wield the power of Morgana when he was in the capital city. Under normal circumstances, normal mortals would be broken by such powers. But Sylas was able to tap into the powers of gods and then wield them. That makes him special. Someone like Zed would be still slightly above him. The Shadow technique is simply that powerful. It is similar to Nocturne himself, but Nocturne is still weaker because he is banished. That's why
I'm going back to the idea that Nocturne is Zed from the future. That's what I believe, bro.
Zed is so high. And then there is Renekton. Renekton is simply far stronger than Nasus. And in the latest story, we even saw what happens if someone tries to strike Renekton down. Some kind of weird celestial magic reshapes Renekton's bones and meat and snaps him back together. Reading his story was quite mind-blowing, but what we learned from that is that we always underestimated Renekton's power. Then we finally get another demon, Tahm Kench. Not the most powerful one, but he is still a demon. So his power level in general would be way above everyone else.
Now the question, who is the most powerful? Fiddle? I'd say it's Fiddle, no? Chat, what do you think?
Kinda on the same level of someone like Rek'Sai, one of the biggest Voidborn on Runeterra that we know about. You know, we have no idea what Cho'Gath is. But being the Broodmother, Rek'Sai is just insanely powerful.
See, not only she's a mommy, she's a brood mother as well.
And then there is Nautilus. If you thought that Pyke was really good because he was infused with the powers of Nagake Boros, he's nothing compared to Nautilus. Nagake Boros forged Nautilus into a full-on titan. At this point, Nautilus is the right hand of the god. And then we have Shen, being...
The right hand of the god, and then we have Shen, a ninja, that's it.
The Eye of Twilight, Shen has by far the best connection to the spirit realm, at least out of all the mortals. He's really deadly in the physical realm and he's really deadly in the spirit realm. There's really not much people can do when fighting him. Then there is Brand. Normally Brand would be a lot higher, because Brand is essentially using the power of a world rune. But the point of Brand's story is that Brand can't control the power of a world rune. The power consumed him. So yes, he is really strong, but he doesn't have the power under control. That's why he is slightly lower. And then there is Thresh. I'm recording this before we got the finale of the Light Sentinel event, so that one will definitely change Thresh's power. But currently, it seems like Thresh will be the new leader of the Shadow Isles. That's why he is right here. He is holding inconceivable power, just like someone like Syndra. Syndra should be a lot higher, or at least she has the potential to be higher. But Syndra killed every teacher who tried to teach her how to use her powers. So while Syndra has unlimited potential, as she says, the potential is very limited by her own abilities. She simply has no idea what she's doing. Then there is Zyra. The reason why Zyra is so high is because Zyra is a plant that is currently consuming about a third of Ixtal.
There was a meme that there's a dude above everything else. Now we have a fucking right hand of the god. Who is higher than the right hand of the god? A plant. Maybe vegan teacher was right, brother. Maybe she knew something we didn't.
The Kumungu jungles are being devastated by her, so I wouldn't underestimate her powers. And then we get to some really powerful mages. Zilean is insanely strong not just because he has the mastery over chronomancy, and not just because he's one of the very few people who are able to resist the void, but also because he is a mage who trained in Shurima, in Icathia, in Ixtal and on the Blessed Isles. Simply said, he is a really powerful mage in general. Just like Vladimir. Vladimir is a mage who has the mastery over Hemomancy, which originated from the Darkin. Combine this with the fact that Hemomancy in general has the ability to make you stronger over time, because you simply reshape your body to be stronger and stronger. He also comes from Kamavor, and also, back in the old days, LeBlanc considered Vladimir to be her only equal. She has never met a more powerful mage. That's why Vladimir is so high. He should be higher, but because Vladimir is hiding in Noxus all the time, he doesn't really have the chance to expand his powers.
Speaking of LeBlanc, I don't think I can guess the picture from what? How many pixels in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 16 pixels. Yeah, each square has 16 pixels. Bro, I can tell that's Vel'Koz. LeBlanc is going to be right over Vlad in here. That's going to be Azir. That's Master Yi. Jesus Christ. Eva, Anivia, Ryze, Aesol second, yeah, Aesol. Like, brother, it takes only 16 pixels. Kiki, yeah, we've got Kiki, Malphite, Leona, I'm telling you.
Above him, there would be Jax.
Holy shit, bro. Oh yeah, Taric, yeah, not my champ. But yeah, told you, all it takes, 16 pixels.
Or Syjax Koari Ikathun. There's not much to say about him. Jax is the only mortal who was able to single-handedly defeat a Shuriman Ascended. He's the only one who was able to defeat a God Warrior. For that alone, that's why he is this high. But also, he is holding the last flame of Icathia, and it is possible that he is a sand troll.
So it is no, it's a flame. It's the last flame of Icathia in the lamp. What if we move this lamp to, I don't know, a quiver and give him a bow? Make my guy an archer, eh?
He might be like Trundle, but on steroids. Then there is Evelyn. Simply a really powerful demon who can shape into anything. She grows more powerful over time the more people she kills.
Sign
Then
me up.
there is Malphite. His power really comes from the fact that he is simply really big. He is the shard of the monolith, which was a floating Ishtali citadel. So coming from a purely elemental place, his powers are just really high. However, not as high as the best elementalist mage from Ishtal, Kiana. In the entirety of that entire region, there simply isn't a better mage. Kiana is that powerful. Very slightly more powerful than her, there will be Azir, who is able to single-handedly raise entire armies from sand. He is the most powerful Ascended there has ever been, and he might be the most powerful Emperor Shurima has ever had.
He can raise armies from the sand, but Hecarim can do the same thing from the mist? No? Hello?
Zerath would be slightly above him for one simple
Yeah, Zerath Young told us his power.
reason. Azir got the powers from the Sun Disk willingly, but Zerath forced those powers into his body. Zerath took more power than what was intended for him. That's why his power level is higher. Then we get to Master Yi. I could honestly rant about Yi for hours, but if you are curious as to why Yi is so high, here's why.
He's fucking busted, bro. Both in game and in the lore, bro. He's fucking insane.
Vuju technique is so powerful. It was never intended to be used in combat, but when the Noxian invasion arrived, Yi thought, maybe I should use it. And so he did. And he killed thousands of Noxians alone. The
Fucking
Noxians were so afraid of him, they tracked down his home village and nuked it just to be safe. Just to know there are no other warriors as powerful as him. And the reason why the Vuju technique is so powerful is because it dates back to the first ever mortal race to exist on the planet. The first ever Vastai Shirei used this technique when fighting the first Stone Titans. That's why Yi is where he is. Vel'Koz would be on a similar level because as one of the oldest Voidborn, just like Master Yi, he is able to kill thousands of people in the blink of an eye. And then there is Taric, who might be the weakest of the aspects, but hey, he's an aspect. Above Taric, I would put LeBlanc. Once again, we are not counting political powers. But LeBlanc is ancient at this point. She is thousands of years old.
Wait, what? Bro, I thought she was 18. What do you mean? What the fuck do you mean thousands? I don't believe that. Fucking Granny LeBlanc, straight up Granny LeBlanc, what is this?
She was present in the Immortal Bastion when Mordekaiser ruled it. She was the one who got Mordekaiser killed. Now she is mastering all the black magic that Mordekaiser was hiding in Noxus. And she is dominating and corrupting the minds of people all over Runeterra. She has eyes everywhere because, quite frankly, she is mind-controlling people everywhere. That's what her clones are about. Her clones are the influence over the entire world. I really wouldn't underestimate LeBlanc's power. Then above LeBlanc we have another powerful aspect, Leona. And above her there is Karma, who is Dara, a mortal vessel to the entire Ionian spirit. The spirit of an entire continent is inside Karma. So just like the aspects, she is a vessel of gods.
Once again, we're going with the god power, we're drawing the power, we are tapping into the power, you know? Nah, miss me with that. LeBlanc is built different, bro.
Then there is Anivia, the weakest of the primal gods. Then there is Rammus.
Straight up a primal god and Ram. What does Rammus do?
But it is theorized that he might be also one of the primal gods.
Theorized, it's not confirmed. So we have primal god, which is Anivia, and then we have an armadillo. And then we have... okay.
But truth be told, we don't really know anything about Rammus. But we know that he is snacking on the Voidborn like they were Cheetos. At least he is very powerful because he considers the Voidborn Cheetos. And then there is Ryze. Someone who has the potential of the power of the World Runes. But unlike someone like Syndra, who has the potential but she doesn't know how to use it, Ryze also has the potential and he also can use the power if he wished to do so. But he simply doesn't do it because he's afraid he's gonna destroy the entire world. So Rise is simply insanely strong. He is wielding the power that shaped the entire world.
So basically we have the World Destroyer already, yeah? World fucking Destroyer. I don't know how we're getting to that level already. Yeah, mind you, we have Armadillo. Okay. And next step to him we have World Destroyer. Not bad.
And then there is Diana, one of the stronger Targonian aspects. Unlike Leona, Diana is actually actively pursuing the powers of the moon. Then there is Viego. Viego is simply really powerful, because he is the source of the Black Mist. He is the one who can dominate minds of pretty much anything, but he's held back by the fact that he doesn't care about corrupting people. He just wants Isolde, and that's his biggest mistake. Then there is Morgana, also technically a Targonian aspect, but above someone like Diana and Leona. She and Kael were there when Demacia was formed, so they have wisdom, but also they are more closely attuned to the Targonian powers. While someone like Diana and Leona are still trying to figure out what is even happening. Compared to them, Leona and Diana are young. Then we have another really powerful primal Freljordian god, Ornn. And as strong as someone like Ornn, there would be Aatrox, the God Slayer.
Literally the God Slayer and the World Destroyer. Like, this guy is no fucking joke. So, okay, I can understand the World Slayer on this row, but Armadillo? Just Armadillo? Brother, I'm skeptical.
Aatrox is simply a Darkin that got out of hand. His rage is untamable, and as long as a mortal is holding his blade, and Aatrox can dominate them, Aatrox is unstoppable. He is the only being in existence that we know about that was able to kill a celestial god.
Yep.
That being War. And on the exact same level as Aatrox, I would say we have Kael. Kael is likely the most powerful of the Targonian mortal vessels.
Holy shit, we're in the top 10 already, chat. We actually made it to top 10, eh?
Being the aspect of justice, she can rain down holy swords on entire nations. Theoretically, she is responsible for Garen's ultimate, but we don't count that into Garen's power. Garen's ultimate is technically Kael's power. And the reason why Morgana is below her is because Morgana willingly gave up on some of her powers. Above those, then we have Lissandra. While Lissandra was really powerful when the three sisters were still alive, and you know, she got wounded by the Volibear, over time, mastering the ability to not only use the true ice, but also the black ice, she is simply far more powerful than people give her credit for. She is the only person who is able to keep back the Watchers.
Yep.
The end of all reality. That's why she may be the most powerful mortal in existence. But still above her, we have the stronger of the primal gods, the Volibear. Then we have Soraka. While it is true that Soraka is purely a celestial being, Soraka gave up on her celestial powers so that she could drop down onto Runeterra, get a physical form, and help mortals from their suffering. Soraka does have a physical body right now, but her power is so strong her body is burning from the inside. That's why in-game, when you heal someone, you hurt yourself. It's because the powers of Soraka are too strong for her mortal body to handle.
No fucking shot that's the reason. I honestly thought it had to do something with hemomancy, like Vlad, you give away your HP. You heal someone else, but with the cost of your own HP. Well, it's because you're so fucking powerful? Straight up nerf banana, boys.
Essentially, she is slowly dying. Then we have Mordekaiser,
Brazil.
a warlord who, when he was alive, constructed the Immortal Bastion and devastated an entire continent on his own. He himself died on a mountain of corpses. But then he died, he found out there were no gods of death, and so he just decided to become a god of death. If you thought that Viego was the king of the undead, you have no idea what Mordekaiser is about. His power is far beyond that. He is the true king of the realm of the dead.
Brazil.
Then there is Zoe, the
A child.
aspect of Twilight, who would rank even above someone like Kael, simply because the Twilight is that powerful. But also, it is the Twilight that currently holds the reins to Aurelian's soul. That's why she would be above the rest. Then there is Bard. Now, while Bard is not really a fighter and he doesn't hurt anyone, Bard are the first sounds the cosmos ever produced. He is on the same level of something like Aurelian's soul. He is simply a pure cosmic energy. But unlike Soraka, he didn't bind himself to a mortal form. He just visited Runeterra, and he didn't want to scare people, so he borrowed some items from a traveling theater. He is
My guy just stole shit from the theater.
still a pure celestial being.
Mind you, that's the celestial, that's the prime power of the universe. If the universe is stealing, then you know it's okay to steal. Yeah. When I'll be in court for stealing something, I say, Judge, hear me out. Your honor, here's the deal. The normal state of universe is to steal. Check Bard's lore, so you know.
And around him, I would rank Fiddlesticks.
The most powerful demon, there we go, top 3. The most powerful demon, boys, of them all.
As far as we know, Fiddlesticks is the primal demon. He is the dark force that is moving the entirety of Runeterra. He is the source of the legend of the 10 kings. The 10 kings where one king consumed the rest. So it is possible that once there were 10 demons, but Fiddlesticks consumed the rest. He is the primal evil. And no, the Scarecrow is not Fiddlesticks. The demon is inside the Scarecrow, and he's just using it as a vessel. So remember, Fiddlesticks, first of 10, Fiddlesticks, end of men. And then we have Aurelion Sol, the Star
Get
Forger.
wrecked, boys.
You know, a technical god, because he has the ability to actually forge stars around which you form planets. You couldn't get more godly than that. However, even Aurelion is not the most powerful, because it was confirmed everyone in reality has to meet the end, and Aurelion Sol is no exception. Even he can't avoid it.
Yep. And
And
Kindred
that
is
is
the
the
end.
list of all the champions ranked according to their power, according to their lore. It was quite a longer video than I expected, but you know, we had to do it. It was inevitable.
God damn,
Of course,
bro.
if you don't agree with something, feel free to argue with us in the comment section. The comment section is gonna be quite the battle of mains anyway. But remember, we spent 4 hours on stream with about 1200 people talking about this. I really think this list is really fair.
It
But
is
you know,
accurate.
the lore is ever changing. The Sentinels of Light were a proof of that. So, who knows where Thresh is gonna land?
And that's the video. God damn. Well, my top 3 were. No, honestly, my top 3. Fiddlestick was not in my top 3, but you know, get the idea.